Welcome. This is the Black Critique. Thank you for joining me. Before we get into today's topic, I'm going to show you a little video, and you should know who this person is. Hopefully, you guys know who this person is. Um, I'm going to show you this little video clip, and from after he's done and finished saying what he has to say, I'm going to pretty much take over from there and pretty much critique, not really pretty much critique because everything he's saying is 100, but he's going to set everything off and set the tone for how this video is going to go. All right, so please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back.
How do we catch up? We're so far behind. How do we catch up to make sure that we can play in the same game or even on the same field?
Well, the first thing I have to do is go back and correct what we've never done. In all my years in national politics and international politics, but most of the people you all are very familiar with in name, they never addressed the primary problems of black folk. Our primary problem was not social integration or civil rights. The primary problem is you never corrected the legacies and burdens of slavery. See, the whole point of slavery was to do what? They never asked that. It was to socially engineer black folk into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game. And what means that they've maldistributed almost 100% of all this nation's land, resources, rights, privileges, businesses, and controls of all levels of governments into the hands of the dominant white society. Black folk haven't got a snowball's chance of ever being a competitive people. You might struggle if it lasts another 2 or 3 years, but it's going to wipe you out pretty soon. You came out of slavery in 1860 having 1/2 of 1% of this nation's wealth. Here you are 150 years later, guess what? You still own 1/2 of 1% of the wealth. And in a nation, in a race-based society, it is what you own and control that determines your equal opportunities and your rights and privileges. It's had nothing darn thing to do with civil rights. That's a waste of time. Doesn't have anything to do with the voting, but that's an intellectual masturbation process. Ain't gonna do any good. What you need is own and control wealth and power.
They said intellectual masturbation. I heard you say that earlier on something I was watching. You said they get off, but it does nothing for them.
You got it down pat, bro. That's like you starving to death. Somebody give you a steak, you rub it outside your stomach. They ain't gonna do you any good. They do the damn thing for you. I said, no, quit playing with black folk. So when I left the president, I ran a campaign, I guess. Well, let me go back. I guess I've been very privileged in all my years. Now I'm 85 now, so I reached the peak. I don't have to get along with anybody damn body anymore.
Man, that's a beautiful feeling.
Yes, that's one of the enrichments of age. But I decided after all the years of playing politics, I guess I was privileged in the sense of being the only black in the nation that ever was a campaign manager, not in a campaign, but a campaign manager for governors, for presidents, for attorney generals, for state legislators, and congressmen. No other blacks had that. I felt for that reason, I had an obligation to get out here and do something for black folk. And so I don't play any games with black folk. Most of the friends I know that you all probably have on your shows, they're just trying to get some self-indictment elevation. I don't need it.
And what did you think about Kamala Harris and Cory Booker? I know you said voting is an illusion.
They're probably nice people. They ain't gonna do anything for black folk. You say, I have yet to this day ever heard or seen not one president, not one candidate for public office ever get up and say, here's what I'm gonna do for black folk. That violates the entire premise of politics. Politics is a process that decides who's gonna get what benefits out of life. It's based on a very simple premise of quid pro quo. Politics, as you know it now, never existed until about the 1500s. And what it says, we will determine who gets what blessings and who suffers. And so, consequently, nobody's ever stood up and said, here's what black folk are gonna get. You're talking about the candidates. The first thing these black folks should be asking is not what candidate you're gonna represent or gonna vote for. Who cares? What you should be asking is, what are you gonna get? What are you voting for?
That's right. What are you gonna get in exchange for your vote?
That's right. What do you get? What are you voting for? What are you gonna get? If you ain't getting a damn thing, why are you voting? And see, black, and not one candidate in all the years I ran campaigns, not one candidate or one president or one party, political party, neither the Republican or the Democratic Party, Libertarian Party, the Green Party, not one has ever promised that if I get the black vote, here's what I'm gonna do for black folk.
It's the first year it's ever happened, and I think the only reason it's happened is because of all the hell that's being raised on social media. And, like a lot of times when these presidential candidates come up here, we ask them specifically, what is your black agenda?
See, you're right. And what did she say to you?
Well, I mean, they all have little things here and there. The only person I've seen have a real live black agenda is Mayor Pete. He has the Douglas plan, which is based off Frederick Douglass.
Okay, right. And see, what most of them what they can do is give you that old game that they used during during the formation of this country in 1789. And they met up in Philadelphia and says we're gonna build this nation, and we're gonna create a document that make us the cradle of democracy. It's gonna be a constitution. And they said, and we're gonna make this a land of opportunity and freedom for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so they met in Philadelphia for a whole week. You know what they did for a whole week? They closed the doors and put the guards on the windows in Philadelphia, and said, "Now we gotta write this constitution, but we got a problem now. If we're gonna offer this as a land of opportunity for everybody, isn't it inconsistent and hypocritical for us to be getting ready to enslave all these damn black folk we're bringing into the country?" They said, "How are we gonna get past that?" They said, "Well, what we'll do, we'll run a game on them. They've been running that same game ever since. What we'll do in the Constitution, we use very broad and ambiguous terms. And certain terms, certain of those broad ambiguous terms would apply to whites and certain apply to black folk. So in the United States Constitution said, we the people, all the people, all God got a God-given right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness." Initially, it wasn't even happiness; it was really a property, because black folk are going to be property. And so that's what it was structured on. And they said, "Well, what about black folk?" When they read the Constitution, they said, "What we'll do, let's use other words. Let's use code words like those who are indebted, those who are in bondage, those who are property, those are 3/5 of a human being, those who are equal to a field animal." And our people never figured that out. So you got all our civil rights leaders running around for years and running for public office like you're talking about we got rights. You don't have any rights in the Constitution. There's no rights for blacks in the Constitution. The United States Constitution in 1789 was strictly the first affirmative action plan in the country, strictly and solely for whites. And those who later on could pass for whites. That's what it's about. Black folk are the only people in this country that can't pass for white.
Can't pass for white. Just like Dr. Claud Anderson said, we're the only people here that can pass for white. And I think psychologically speaking, with black people in America, knowing that they can't pass for white and they can't disguise themselves or get themselves under the radar, that's the first thing anybody sees. So what FBA does, not all black Americans a black American is basically a black person who lives here and acknowledge that they are a black American, right? But we know what we're talking about when I say FBA. So what FBA does, they do everything to run away from their blackness. They can't run away from their phenotypical blackness, so they do everything they can run away from their blackness. Now, when I say blackness, don't get it twisted. Blackness is just a replacement for the word African. We all know that when a white person sees a black person, they are looking at an African, right? Black people don't like that fact, so they'll say, "Oh, just black," because it's kind of ambiguous. Or they go with that ambiguous term that was given to them. But we all know that black people in America, right, from slavery, are Africans. So going back to what I'm saying, so black FBA will do everything to run away from their Africanness. So they have to appease themselves to white people so it can be more palatable in their society. So they're able to tolerate them. It's about tolerance, right? They know white people don't like them, but it's like, you know what? If they at least tolerate me, at least, I'll be able to get some benefit. So all they're doing is able to trying to appease white people so white people could tolerate them so they can get political and economical favors, right? That's all they're trying to do within their society. So like Dr. Claud Anderson says, you cannot pass for white. So these are the things that FBA is doing. So right here it says in 1860, 99% of all black people work for whites. Today, 98% of all black people work for whites. You are enjoying a social illusion because you go to someone else's restaurant, but you don't own the restaurant yourself. Dr. Claud Anderson. So I'm starting on with Dr. Claud Anderson because he is the authority. Even some FBA people, they will use what he is saying and his talking points because he's been doing this for like 30 plus years as far as like economical empowerment for black people, right? So this is something that he's been doing, he's dedicated his life to, right? So based upon that, what what Dr. Claud is saying when FBA says these retarded things about, oh, we this, we that, you immigrants is this, you need to do this, you need to do that. So this is going to come to one of my topics of today of why, based on what Dr. Claude Anderson is saying, FBA should not be saying this stupid ass phrase. And the phrase is, it's right here. FBA lie. Other groups come here and eat off of us. Eat eat off of you. Like I don't get that. Are there black Americans at the airport by customs saying, hey, all you black people, hey, come on, we got you, got you. Where you want to go? Where we going to take you? Here's some money to hold you down while you're here. Welcome to America and all these other things. Well, how are we eating off of black Americans? Because according to, you're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because according to the Claude Anderson, you don't have anything to give, right? So what are we taking off of your table, right? Or what are you offering us, right? Like I said, according to Dr. Claude Anderson right here, according y'all haven't to Dr. Claude Anderson, y'all haven't moved to acquire wealth since the end of slavery. You can't feed yourself, so what are black immigrants taking off your table? I kind of improvised that quote there, but you get the point that I'm trying to say. If you own half of 1% of America's total wealth, right? You don't have anything enough for yourself. So you have nothing to give. So when they say these things, of course, no one ever challenges them on what do you mean by that? What are they taking away from you? Like they're stealing something away from you? What have you yourself as people established for them, for black immigrants to have in order for them to prosper? Because black immigrants like myself and other people that I know, they come here with no help from black people at all, and they're able to acquire their own wealth. Like if they have relatives that are here, they're coming there, their relatives is picking them up from the airport. Their relatives is giving them food, clothing, and shelter if they need it. Their relatives is the one that's telling them how to navigate the this new society that they're in. Their relatives are the ones that's probably hooking them up with jobs and telling them where to find jobs and things like that. So again, what a black Americans contributing to the success of a black immigrant? It really makes no sense at all. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm going to drive home this point once again, because from my last video, there are also lines saying that they fought for black people to get here. You saw my last video about that. I proved that to be totally false. They keep making up these victories that they've done to make themselves feel good or better than you. It absolutely makes no sense, right? Even to the point where, like I said, Dr. Claude Anderson said they can't pass for white, right? But they're doing everything they can to be considered honorary white people, with this pandering and white ass kissing. If you notice, you have a lot of people that are claiming FBA. If you go on Twitter, if you go on Facebook and things like that, all of a sudden they're putting up American flags. I'm like, American flags? Like, what's going on? Not to down anyone's patriotism. I'm an American. I love this country and things like that. But at the same time, as a black person, we don't have to feel the need to promote the American flag. I haven't stood up in the Pledge of Allegiance in the flag in over 4 or 5 years, right? Due to the injustices that black people in this country has been going through. But because you're FBA and you want a check from the government, you gotta show how patriotic you are while they're killing you and kicking your ass at the same time. This is just pandering for money. So they're connected to the United States of America only because they want money from the government. The government knows that black Americans are Americans, one. The government knows that black Americans are the ones who were enslaved for during that time, a long time ago. They know that. They know that. Like, you know, they pretend to ignore that fact. They know that fact. So FBA trying to appease to black people, not to appease to black people, trying to appease to white people. Like, look, I was a good American. See, I've been with you every step of the way there, boss. I've been with you every time. Every time I'm with you. I fight all your woes. I'm there. You know, you just help me out now. You know, so they have to do all this pandering and shucking and jiving, right? So that's one point. Another point is that to explore why they say we're eating off of them. I don't understand that concept again. Black Americans, white Americans, Mexican Americans, all types of Americans, once you're in America, if you're a citizen or not, especially if you become a citizen, you just being in America, occupying in America, you're paying taxes, right? You're eating, you're paying taxes. You're buying food, you're paying taxes. Certain goods and services that you want, that you acquire, you're paying taxes. And taxes goes into the government. So I heard one time they say like, "Oh, you don't even pay taxes," or "How are you contributing to the society?" and all these Republican talking points. So that's another thing I noticed about FBA. The all their talking points is them of a white Republican, and they turn into these white Republicans, and Africans and Caribbeans become Mexican. They become the Central American people, right? And they use all these racist talking points. That's why I'm saying they're more racist than they are xenophobic, because the language that they use is of a racist, Proud Boy, Republican, QAnon, Proud Boy, Boogaloo Boy type people. So that's why I say they're more racist than they are xenophobic, because they're not really talking about, well, they do that too. Talk about, about your culture. They don't understand your culture, and they say a lot of nasty, untruthful things about the culture. But at the same time, they make fun of you phenotypically, like you're somebody different. So you can see this little character here, right? And this is a perfect example of how I feel what it is. It says, he says, "Careful, Mike. That fauna wants your cookie." So basically, that's the government, right? Even though the government is not really saying that. But FBA is this proud white man right here with the one cookie. But according to Dr. Claude Anderson, half of a cookie, right? The other gentleman on the other end, he is the immigrant. He has nothing. He has to acquire wealth, right? So it's like, okay, he wants my cookie, right? But he has to work for it. The immigrant is not making no sudden moves or anything like that to steal his cookie and stuff like that. He's not doing anything like that. He has to acquire to get his cookie from the man who's giving out all the cookies for you to do services for him, right? And that's pretty much how it is. So when they say, and I think that's what is more of a fear, like, oh my gosh, we're not getting enough cookies, and here's someone else coming and he wants some cookies too. Well, wow, he may get more cookies than me. So it's a competition thing, right? And we're all here, in competition, trying to, get enough cookies so we can feed our families and things like that. It's not in opposition of someone else. We're all here playing the game, and that's it. We're all trying to acquire wealth, right? So another thing that they'll say again, you have you have require businesses. We don't have any black businesses. I try to patronize as much black businesses as I can, and I don't do that. Yo, hook me up, hook me up. Like I go to a lot of black vendors, right? If they don't have a store, they don't have brick and mortar, they don't have a store. I go to black vendors, and I go to them all the time. And I was like, hey, how much is for that? And it's like, oh, this is like $40. Like, all right, okay, $40. Like, let me see what I got. I'm a little short, and I'm looking for change with some of my vendors that I go to. Nah, man, it's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? What you got? If you got $36, $37, $35, it's okay. I'll take it for that. I'm like, no, brother. No, sister. I'm not going to do that. You know why? You think I go inside that Korean Chinese store and come up $1 or 50 cents short? You know they're going to look at you crazy like, oh, this nigga, oh, God. Oh, no, sir, I can't sell you. I can't sell you. It's $40, $40. You know what I'm saying? So if I can't get that, if I can't get over on them for that, I'm not going to do that to my own people. You know? So, I mean, this meme pretty much speaks much of it. Like, it's not like black people or black Americans as a whole doesn't have any money. It's like, or we're not even disciplined to aggregate all our money and apply it and to apply it strategically and smart so we can have some economic independence and economic freedom. But we have all these people that come in our neighborhoods. But I'm going a little bit off the topic. But again, you know, black immigrants, you know, we don't do nothing. We just mind our business and stuff like that. And we don't contribute to anything. But at the same time, why I like this meme is that because you guys don't own those stores. You guys been here for all this time and how long. So this is pretty much happening on your watch, not my watch. This is happening on your watch, but you're giving out all these goodies and all these things. Like it really makes no sense whatsoever. As if they have built institutions for black immigrants, like they have some sort of business or something that they put money into for the sake of black immigrants, right? It's like, okay, these black immigrants need help. They're our brothers. Okay, here's this fund that we have in order for black immigrants. And to the ones that say, well, we may not give you money directly. You get money from the government. Can you please tell me which grant or which fund that black immigrants get that black Americans don't get? And I'm specifically talking right now to just travel. No, when you come to America, right, or any other country, this is why we're talking about people that are not too smart, they're not very well traveled. If you want to go to, I don't know, let's say France, because, you know, niggas like going to Europe. They don't want to do anything with Africa because they think they're honorary white people. Because, you know, you have Negroes that want to go to Europe just like their white counterparts. You know, and then, you know, white people like to go backpacking across Europe. So niggas going to go backpacking across Europe, right? If you're going to do that, you got to get a passport, right? And if you want to live there, you got to get a visa. All these things you have to do, you have to go to France to do, right? And you got to understand what's the law, the immigration laws and policies that France has. So based upon those laws and policies that France has, that's what you have to abide by. You have to pay money and dish your money out and all these other things. And when you get there, you have to, you know, have everything set up and situated, right? It's so, like I said, they talk as if there's, oh, no, okay, we know all that. You know, we're going to hold you guys down, which is a lie. They have no such program or institutions like that, right? So even to the point of you have like businesses, like if you don't have your own businesses popping like that, how you have some type of institution or fund for other black people. Like I said, it's a victory that has been done and won, but they have never fought for that victory at all whatsoever, right? And notice, right? Now that we're talking about businesses and black neighborhoods, and everyone knows that is just a hood. It's not a black neighborhood because it's black people occupying this space with other foreigners in there that control the economics. What do? We all know that the Chinese, Korean person does not live in our neighborhood, right? They open their business in our neighborhood and take the money out of our neighborhood. We know the Arab does that. Some Hispanics, yeah, they do that too, do that as well. So your money is going directly out of your community. But notice how this whole FBA ADOS thing happens, and this is how you know you're dealing with house niggas. This whole thing started not because the Korean is there, running the beauty shops, beating up black women, kicking black women, the Arab there taking all the money, doing all these things to our, doing all these things. So there's some instances where, they're selling drugs, they're doing all these other things. They're taking money out of our community. So it's not the Korean, it's not the Arab, it's the Hispanic that has all the bodegas and stuff like that. All these people, according to FBA, are not honorary black people, right? They've been doing this for decades. But ADOS and FBA came about hating on black people, hating on Africans, hating on Caribbeans. That's how this movement started. Movement didn't start because you know what? We need to start controlling our resources. We need to be in charge of our resources economically. You know what? And okay, what's blocking us besides our own failures and our own not taking the initiative to be control of our resources? Okay, let's look around our neighborhood. Oh wow, you know what? The Asians got that. The Koreans got the fruit stand. The Arabs got the corner stores, and the Hispanics got the bodegas. All right, you know what? We're not gonna shop there anymore or anything like that, or not even as far as the boycott, because Negroes can't boycott shit. You know what I'm saying? At least I boycott things. Specifically, in my family, boycott things. We don't buy certain things from certain organizations. For example, if you're gonna have pizza, we don't eat Papa John's because Papa John's is a fucking racist, right? We don't eat Papa John's pizza at all. We haven't had Papa John's pizza in 4 years, whatever that, whenever that was. I forgot what happened with Colin Kaepernick, and then Papa John was mad at, Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, to speak up against police brutality and all these other things, right? And Papa John said, "Oh, I'm losing money," and then to make it even worse, N-words start flying around, and he used the N-word, and all right, okay, cool, got you. You're gonna lose more money, right? And when you go to black neighborhoods, you see Papa John's there. There should be no Papa John's open in a black neighborhood based upon what he said. But you still got niggas going to Papa John's, right? Just like H&M. H&M. I never really shopped in H&M. Shit in there look kind of fruity, look funny style and everything. But you got black people that shop at H&M, right? So even if I were to shop at H&M every once in a while, or my wife or people that I know shop at H&M once in a while, we don't go shopping at H&M anymore because of that whole monkey debacle thing, all that other stuff. Oh, okay, cool. I see where y'all coming from. We don't shop at H&M. Niggas still shop at H&M. So y'all can't even boycott shit, right? But you got all this money and you're doing all these things. But anyway, that's besides my point. My point is, you can say, well, you know what? We're going to open up our own business, right? Let the Koreans and let the Chinese, let the Arabs and let the Hispanics own all those stores, stuff like that. We're going to open up our own store and we all just going to shop there. That doesn't even happen. That doesn't even happen. You know what I'm saying? But again, you're not looking at the man in the mirror. You want to look at other people. And it's ridiculous. You got people pretty much, when you say this out loud, especially in a public forum, well, when you hide your face, you will never say that out because you look ridiculous. It sounds stupid because you sound like you're not a part of reality, right? So you don't control anything in government politically or economically. So how are you sound like you're calling shots? You're not calling any shots whatsoever as far as your own political, economical endeavors, and for you to prosper. So how are you in control of other people's political, economical gain and how they prosper? You saying people are eating things off your table, but you're not doing anything about your own. It's really, really funny, and it's sad at the same time, because it's like, okay, you say I'm taking something from you. I'm sorry, what am I taking? Then they start calling you names, or no one challenges on what they're on what you're supposedly quote unquote taking, and it's like, okay, what are you talking about? And they can't show improvement. That's why I'm saying FBA are a bunch of idiots. They're a bunch of morons, or people that really take hold to these things that they're saying, don't have a concept of history, don't have a concept of history of their own history in America, don't have a concept of economics, don't have a concept of socialism, don't have a concept of how people interact with each other, as far as like black people coming into this country, whether it be so-called native black people. When I say native black people, I mean black people that was born here, that's been here 2-3 generations or longer, and because they on that wobble bullshit, right? And that's and that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? They're on that wobble nonsense, which even makes the movement even more of a joke, right? So, because like how you want reparations, right? And you're Native American. Indigenous, real Native Americans already got their reparations. So if you're saying you're a real indigenous Native American, and so you can't get black people's reparations, you want Indian reparations. And the reparations that Indians got varies. Not all tribes get the same amount of money. Some tribes don't even get any money. Versus if you're a black American and you've been and your ancestors have been enslaved in here, right? You're guaranteed to get a check, right? You're guaranteed to get a huge check. But anyway, it's self-hate, right? This is pretty much self-hate. So anyway, like I said, you don't control any politics. You don't control any economics. So it's like, no, you have nothing on your table. You have an empty plate. You have a crumb, right? Like Dr.Claud says here, he said, we've been marching for 150 years and haven't moved an inch, right? So it's at least back then, I mean, it's a lot of marching that has been going on, but at least back then when the marching started, you know what I'm saying, before civil rights occurred in the 50s and at the beginning of the 60s, at least black people had businesses. At least you had businesses. And to all the people that say, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, no, that's the 1800s. In the 1900s, we had businesses. In the 50s and 60s, we had businesses, right? So there's no excuse for us not to have those businesses like we used to have back then and build upon it. What should have happened was we should have kept those, our mom and pop stores, right? And now that we're able to do business across the board and we're not able to discriminate because, you know, white people ice is colder than black ice, right? White people's shoes is better than our shoes and things of that nature. What we should have done for the people that wanted the goods at the white stores, what we should have is, okay, find out where they get those shoes, what their distribution is, and we'll just have it in our stores. So you won't have to go to their stores, right? But everybody wanted to just go straight to the white stores, right? And don't patronize the black stores. They could have said, hey, Junior, you know, Mr. Johnson up there, you know, he got nice short, pretty dress my wife like, but you don't have it here. Like, you need to get that. He said, okay, Junior, Jimmy, I'm going to see what I can do to get that dress. Then white folks got there. Like, you know, do that. You know, at least have some business sense or some honor, you know what I'm saying, and patronize your own black businesses. I feel if that would have happened, then we would have been a lot better off. We would have been more in charge of our own financial destiny and businesses, because that's just how it is. If you have let's say, for instance, let's say, like I said, a mom and pop store, or a clothing store, right, like a Macy's or whatever that sells clothing. If they don't have a particular item that you don't have, find out how to get it, and then you have it, so they don't have to go over there. Like when I look at on documentaries on businesses and how businesses thrive and things like that, they kind of have to. And they say, hey, look, my clientele is getting low. Like, why is my clientele getting low? So for black people in this situation, it goes, oh, we know white people, they got all the good stuff. What should have happened? Those same black people that patronize the black business, they should be on some that store owner should be like, okay, what do you guys want from that store? Why are you guys going to the white store? I know we can go to white people's store now. You know what I'm saying? That ice sure is colder, but hey, I got some good ice here. What are the items that you need? I would get it. So you won't have to go over there, you know what I'm saying, put your head down and them abusing you just for you to buy goods. But anyway, going off a little bit on a tangent there, but that's neither here or there. But I pretty much want to knock that out the park as far as why it's a false narrative. It's a stupid statement when they're saying, "Oh, you eating off of us. You're eating off of our plate." You know what I'm saying? Other groups come here, eat off us. You know what I'm saying? When you don't even, you probably hardly have a plate, let alone something on your plate. You know what I'm saying? So anytime someone says anything like that, just say, what do you have on your plate that I'm snatching, that I'm taking, right? Because I know when I come here, I don't see your Yankee Doodle ass here helping me out. I'm helping myself out. My peoples is helping me out, right? And there's any black Americans that are around me that I get to know, yeah, they'll help me a hand too. You know what I'm saying? There's some black Americans that would help us out on a personal level. Like, hey, I know this Nigerian dude, or he's mad cool, he's trying to get a new home. He's trying to get a new car. He's trying to do that, you know, and they'll help you out on an individual level, but not on a grand scale. Stop the bullshit. So anyway, that's about it. Thank you for joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate all my subscribers. I appreciate you all. Please let me know how you feel in the comments. As always, haters are also welcome. But yeah, thank you for subscribing, and I'll be back with another topic about FBA ADOS very soon. Peace. What's up, y'all? I know I said my goodbyes already and everything like that, but please hold on. I want to introduce a video from Dr. Clark. He is one of the Grand Master teachers. He is a person that has changed my life, the way that I think, the way that I act. Him, Dr. Ben, Dr. Asa Hilliard, Dr. Amos Wilson, and others. These men are giants, right? Basically, I'm going to show you a video basically to cap off, and he will put it much better than how I would put it. So please stay tuned and enjoy. Thank you.
If you hook up between the Caribbean islands, the Africans in the United States, 100 million Africans in Brazil, the 300 million Africans in the Western world, the 750 million Africans in Africa itself, the Africans in Asia, especially the so-called untouchables. You've got over 1 billion people on the face of this earth. Now, who do we need as an ally other than ourselves? Now, let me conclude by talking about our social order and what our world ought to be. Our order must be self-reliance. Getting back what slavery and colonialism took away. And to do this, we've got to get back our mind, get back our confidence. I'm not impressed by people making beautiful speeches. Open up a shoelace factory. You'll impress me. We can do that. Open up a handkerchief factory. Don't tell me we can't do that. I made a speech 4 years ago in Kentucky at a family meeting. I challenged everybody to make their underwear. At least start manufacturing your underwear. And to get the point across, I put it in the crudest possible way. A people who can't make their drawers can't control a nation. 4 years later, a man and a wife team wrote me. So we have accepted the challenge. We have the underwear factory. We're sending you a set of underwear free of charge. Look how many people we can put to work. Now, we're just using one item right now, just underwear. Now, suppose we go to the shoes. We're putting more people to work. Go to the suits. We got to get into wool now. We got to get into sheep and how to shear the sheep and put the wool through the process. Got to divide it into wool. Certain wool that make gabardine, certain wool make certain kind of other wool. All of it. I'm talking about putting people to work. I'm not talking about begging for jobs. I'm about creating jobs. Now, suppose Farrakhan and some of the other leaders who, with their stretch Mercedes-Benz, said, I will not ride in a Mercedes-Benz until my people make a Mercedes-Benz. And suppose Farrakhan stopped playing his violin before a Jewish audience to appease them. What's he got to apologize for? And suppose Jesse stopped crawling on his belly in an international audience. And suppose we get enough nerve to tell all of the leaders, you lead us with dignity, or you don't call yourself a leader. We have more leaders and less leadership than any people in America.
That's right. That's right.
Our new social order must be making everybody accountable to us.
That's right.
Every preacher, every store owner in our community, no matter who he is, accountable to us. And every store owner in the community gives something back to the community or get no trade from the community. Every preacher in the community, every church must contribute something to the betterment of the community or we'll put nothing in the collection plate.
That's right. That's right.
This new social order must be based on Pan-African and African world nationalism. We must understand what happened to us after the Civil Rights Movement. What happened to the Caribbean Federation? Why did they drive out their leading technicians, advocates? Why did we let King be killed? Why do we still misinterpret Martin Luther King? Why do we keep talking about he had a dream when we forget that he had a plan? Why don't we read the whole speech? He got a dream. He said that near the end of the speech. He said a whole lot of useful things before he said, I got a dream. He was ending the speech then. Read what he said before he said that. He was just tapering it off. And someone else wrote that in the first place. He didn't even write that. Why can't we look at King as a great theologian who tried to give this nation a second chance and the nation didn't appreciate it?
All right.
This nation is not morally good enough to understand a concept as high as nonviolence.
There you go.